it's Dina, and I am back to try to get you to fall in love with this large round glazed stone with handles. And I'm going to put a piece of parchment paper on it because I'm going to be taking this tonight to our church harvest festival. So I'm going to just put that on there right here. And I'm going to be using a Pillsbury already done pie crust. And I'm going to be doing a panko breadcrumb. Now this is kind of an unusual recipe. This is something I've adapted over the years. Years ago, I was asked to do a specialized show for a woman that had a 150-foot pear tree in her yard. And she said, everybody at church doesn't know what to do with these pears. The neighbors don't know what to do with these pears. She knew I was a home economist, so she asked me if I could help her. So we did a Pampered Chef pear show, and I went to the county extension and to the library and combed through every cookbook and how-to thing that I could find to learn about pears and different types. But just kind of by happenstance, I found this pear tart, which is an orange pear tart that is my absolute favorite. In fact, they called it a pear cookie. But you're going to see that it's made with a pie crust and with some breadcrumbs. It's a little bit different, but it is definitely one of my favorite fall recipes. When the pears start getting ripe, it is a perfect recipe for the fall. You are going to love it. Something different that you probably never have tasted, but if you give it a try, like me, you might fall in love with it. So the first thing we want to do is start slicing our pears. And I'm going to put a little bit of orange zest right now using the microplane fine grater. And I'm just going to put the zest of one orange into this recipe. And then we're going to juice the orange, and we're going to put the juice in with the pears as well. And what's going to happen there is it's going to keep the pears from turning brown. So we want to do that fairly quickly, even though we're going to add a couple more pears to this mixture. I wanted to get that going and get the majority of the zest and juice on top of our pears. Since I didn't want you to have to stand here and watch me cut 8 pears, I pre-did some of those. And those are the kinds of things I like to do ahead of time at my shows. If I can get a jump on any of the chopping, slicing, and dicing that seems a little bit repetitive. Oh, by the way, the Pampered Chef pumpkin dish is on the outlet right now for $3.50, and I have a whole set of these, and I just put them on top of my plates during the fall season, and it's just an added little side dish or bread dish, but kind of makes it fun and festive. Okay, so we've got our orange here. I'm going to cut it in half with the utility knife. And anytime you're cutting something round that you're going to do in slices, if you just cut off a little piece like that, it makes a kickstand. So instead of having something that's going to roll around on you, you now have a flat surface and it's going to be stable. So if I was going to do slices, it would be so much better. So just a little tip, I'm going to go ahead and show you, you can either use the juicer if you've gotten small oranges and just put the juice in here. This is not the kind of recipe that you have to measure exactly, which I love, but I'm just going to take the juice of a regular orange and I'm going to use our juicer or our reamer. And when I first got married, my grandma gave me a juicer and it was so pretty. It was a little jadeette dish thing, a little green kind of 40s color thing. It was so pretty, but it didn't work. It didn't work. And when Pampered Chef came out with the juicer and it had these deep, sharp reams and it's so easy, I don't dread juicing anymore. Where before I was like, what is the point? I even went out and bought an electric juicer because I grew up in California. We had orange trees and we made fresh squeezed orange juice. And it was a real labor of love to make it. So I just love the fact that it just works, a twisty twist. I don't have to like work on my biceps. I can just use this product. So now I'm going to add the orange juice to our pears. And I'm going to set this aside because we're going to juice and zest the second orange for our glaze that goes on the top of the our little tart. So I'm going to set that aside right now. So now I have this in here, and I'm going to give it a quick toss with one of our mix and scrapers. You know, I just don't even have a favorite mix and scraper because I just use them all. They're just a workhorse in my kitchen. So I've got that orange juice going on top of our pears right here. And this is kind of a touchy-feely recipe, and so at my shows I'd probably use gloves because I'm going to be lining the pears out in a really pretty way. Now, there's a couple of ways you can slice the pears. Yes, you can use the wedger and then go back and slice the wedges a couple more times. If you don't like the textures of the peels, you could certainly peel the pears. We like the texture of the peels in our family. We call it fiber, and we love it. But the other way that you can deal with the pears is with the simple slicer. And I like them fairly thick, so I'm putting the simple slicer on 3. And you notice I'm being very careful, but I am using it without the finger guard until I get into what I call the danger zone. And as soon as I get into the danger zone, then I'm going to pop this on there. And, you know, normally I would put the runners on and everything, but, you know, we're just trying to do this really quick so that you fall in love with the stone and this unique little recipe. So some of the pear things, if you just take, because they're nice and soft, and you fold them in half, you pinch out the middle core. So super easy to do with the simple slicer. And we want half slices of pears. So even the ones, it's not like an apple that has a big thick core all the way running through it. You know, some of them you won't even notice that they have it. And some just have this little black piece. Again, you just pinch and pull, and it pulls it right out of there. Super easy. Or you could stack them all up and use the apple core to just take out that middle portion of the pear. So that's one way to do it. Now, if you get the right consistency of pears and it's firm enough, you can use the apple peeler core slicer. So if you're somebody who has a pear tree in your yard, you know, you're going to want to make fruit leathers and dehydrated pears and pear juice, pear cider, freeze pears, mix pears and apple pies. There's all kinds of things that you can do with pears. Some people just poach them in wine or grape juice. They can be a very low-calorie dessert. I know people who even put a little bit of diet soda on them and bake them and have them be a zero Weight Watcher dessert.